Hi, welcome everybody. This is Dave Espino and James Renuff here at the Entrepreneur Dojo, and we are here to share with you today how failure can actually lead to success, and how actually what ends up happening is a lot of times failure is a necessary precursor to success. And so we're just going to have a little discussion on how that's shown up in our lives, in our entrepreneurial life, and that kind of thing. So you have any ideas off the bat, James? Because I've got some.
Well, well, one was today. So like my wife's been has been building a group and she's been selling these products online, and she really does her best to take care of her customers. And she had one person that received the product and then claimed they didn't. And she knew she had sent it, and she had the tracking and everything and all this and that. So this person ends up filing a dispute with PayPal. Now, I've had disputes before. I've had people refund. Sometimes people refund, and that's just how they feel like they need to refund, is with a dispute. Well, this really got my wife upset that someone would dispute something. And she was really worked up about this. And so anyway, she kind of posted in her group and said, this really kind of hit me hard, because I try and do right by everybody. Well, everybody went to her page and were posting all these positive reviews. So it turned out something that it was the first time anyone ever disputed her on PayPal, like the first time anyone kind of like gave her a hard time with business. And it ended up, she's got all this love from people today. Now, whether or not we want to call that failure, my point is that was something that at the beginning of the morning, it was this terrible experience for her. But by the end of the morning, she's like, that was the best thing that ever happened. I had all my troops rally behind me,
Awesome.
So that's what kind of predicated me to want to talk about this today.
Yeah, and it's funny because James, you deal with this on every product launch, so you're dealing with refunds all the time, or people who have a poor excuse for why they want a refund when they really, they just know they're not going to take action on the course or the training that you provided. But it's interesting that you were able to be there to support her in that and help her understand. Sometimes it just happens for no real reason.
Yeah. And it's always, and something's always going to happen, and like the first time one of the first times I had a product, I thought this product was going to crush it. And I made like 4 sales the first time I put this is years ago.
Wow.
And I was really kind of devastated, and I was like, man, you had this feeling that something was going to work. You put in all this time to make something happen. I had 4 sales.
Wow.
But I didn't just kind of, crawl up in the corner and say, gosh, I'm done with this. I waited a little while, things worked harder. And then I put out another product. That product had 100 sales, and then the next product had 500 sales. And then I'm thinking, well, this next product is going to have 1,000 sales. Well, what happened? It went down to 200 sales. And, like this kind of success is not linear. Success is up and down, and things happen. And sometimes it's out of your control. You have your sales page doesn't work, or your copy just doesn't resonate with people, or you have an impression of what you think is going to happen. And sometimes you're right, but sometimes the market tells you differently. And you really have to understand that you're going to have those negatives happen all the time. And it's just part of growth and part of just like us doing these videos. I love seeing all these likes. I love seeing these positive comments. There's going to be, as we grow, a couple downvotes. I was talking to my son today, and he watches this show called TPM Vids, and this is a guy that talks about Disney all the time. And it's like, how like kind of vanilla of a topic can you get with Disney?
Right.
And who would ever hate Disney? Well, this guy has a video, and it's like top 10 worst rides on Disney. And he's doing it in the nicest way possible, just saying like, here's probably the 10 most unpopular rides. And of course, people are like, how dare you bring up, it's a small world. Like even with Disney videos, people are freaking out. And so, you just have to embrace that, and you have to embrace that problems are going to happen, and you're going to have issues in any way, shape, or form. It could be your focus. You could be failing with your focus. You could be failing with your relationships. You could be failing with all kinds of things, and you have to keep adjusting. And I like to use the word pivot. Some people hate that word. I don't know why, but I've been using it a lot lately. I guess the Marines use that term, that you have to pivot. And you constantly have to make those adjustments, and failure comes with it. And in some ways, Dave, I try and fail. I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but you know, if you're not failing at something, how hard are you pushing yourself?
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that reminds me again of skateboarding. You know,
I need to
growing up.
start skateboarding.
Yeah, you do.
But if
You'd be a
I did it,
great, if you have this attitude, you'd be a great skateboarder.
but the thing
Because,
is that I would definitely fail at skateboarding. A couple broken arms,
well,
probably.
everybody does, everybody does at first. That's the thing is, in order to achieve any level of success in skateboarding, and by the way, skateboarding's changed a lot since I was coming up. Now it's very trick oriented. Now it's very progression oriented. Now it's about competition, all this kind of thing. I mean, we were just kids doing it for fun back then, right? But in order for anybody to get any good at really at anything, you've got to be okay with failing. You've got to be okay with struggling, stretching, pushing yourself, pushing your limits. And the one thing that I learned about from skateboarding was this term that was really big in the 70s, where people said, just go for it, go for it. And implied in the phrase go for it is, what do you have to lose? Like, really, just if you go and try, what do you have to lose? And I think that very few people have this kind of spirit anymore, where it's just like, just go for it, because what do you have to lose? The worst case scenario is you fall on your butt, or in the case of business, you fall, emotionally. Things don't work out the way you expected them to. But I think that the more you get used to that, the sooner you get used to that, the sooner you start progressing and achieving great things. We talked the other day, James, about how, what if you did a webinar, nobody showed up, right?
Right.
Well, I still did that webinar with nobody showing up because I knew I needed the practice, and I wanted to pretend like somebody was still there anyway, so that I could get better the next time when people did show up. And then I had webinars where people did show up, and I'll tell you what, it's such a buzz when you've got all these people showing up and they're all commenting, they're making jokes in there, and everyone's with you. It's such a rush. And so if I had not felt that experience of doing a webinar when nobody showed up, and being dejected and talking to my wife about nobody showed up, but I still did it anyway, if I had not had that experience, the high of having that great experience, I think there was one time we did, like, I forget how much, like $8,000 or $9,000, in one webinar or whatever, which to me was a lot of money, at that time. That high wouldn't have been so delicious, so wonderful, so amazing. And so we need that whole range, that whole range of emotions and that whole range of experiences to really grow. And by doing that, by constantly failing and growing, we grow. Just like, I think of like a little kid learning to walk, little kid learning to walk, falls on his butt, gets up. He doesn't know any different. He's just going to go for it. He's just going to keep going for it, keep trying, because he's got his parents cheering him on. And then pretty soon he's walking. Pretty soon he's riding a bike for the first time. Pretty soon he's driving, and all that kind of thing. It's progression. But had that kid just said, oh, you know what? I'm just going to sit. I'm just going to sit. I'm not going to walk. I mean,
Yeah,
just think,
we have all learned to walk, like it's
yeah,
innately in us. And then I think part of it too, not just with failure, but being ready for success. There's a story of this guy. I can't remember where I heard this, but he always wanted to be a DJ, and like he practiced as a kid to be a DJ, and all the time that's all he wanted to be. And but for whatever reason, he couldn't make it. But what he did was he ended up being a janitor at a radio station, and he was a janitor there for years. And all of a sudden, I don't know if somebody got sick or what, or there was some kind of problem, and like basically there was no one there for this short period of time. And he gets on there and he starts doing his thing, and I can't do it, but like he's like, razzle dazzle doing his shtick.
yeah.
And like it was like the phones went off the hook, and this guy became a professional DJ from that. But he was the janitor. I wish I knew his name, but that's a
That's
true story.
awesome.
But he was ready for success. I'm not saying being a janitor is a failure, but I'm just saying that when you have these failures, when you have it set that you're going to succeed, and you're laser focused on that, those things that come at you, it's just kind of like, get out of the way.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said for the preparation that it takes. And sometimes that preparation comes with, skin knees. It comes with failures. It comes with people not showing up and you still doing the work and you being prepared for that moment in time when, I think of this, the movie, The Rookie. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but it's a baseball movie. And I think it's Dennis Quaid. He plays a guy who, when he was in high school, he used to throw a mean fastball like 90 some miles an hour, and then had an injury, shoulder injury, and then just like it took him out of the game. Well, many years later, he's coaching his baseball team, and they dare him to try out for the big leagues, and he, like, against all odds, he goes for it. He tries it, and he ends up achieving one of his goals. And I'm not going to get any more into it than that, but it's just had he not been mentally ready for that moment, and had he not been actually practicing with his team, the young kids that he coached, he wouldn't have been able to meet that moment in time to be able to achieve success. I've had a few instances in my life where that has happened, where you toil away and you toil away and you toil away in obscurity, kind of, and you're just working with faith. Like you're believing that something good's going to happen. You don't know it, and there's no guarantee of it. You're just going for it, right? And then something happens where your destiny aligns with that preparation, and that preparation that you've been doing all this time, suddenly it makes sense. Suddenly it's like, oh, that's why I was doing all this stuff. This makes sense now. I'm in the right place at the right time. Part of that has to do with trying to see into the future and see what kind of things are coming, what kind of waves, what kind of big trends are coming. I'm not talking about little trends. I'm talking about mega trends. But part of it is just being ready, man. It's just being there, being ready, preparing, doing the hard stuff. Like, I don't think too many people nowadays talk about paying the price, or paying the price for success. One of my favorite songs is AC/DC has this song. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. And they talk about how hard it is to be a rock band, and all the stuff they get, that goes wrong on the road and goes wrong on the way to success. And that, to me, it's almost like my theme song, to understand that yes, things are going to go wrong, but if you don't quit, if you keep going, if you're persistent, you will make it happen. Sometimes you'll make things happen that even surprise you, because you're like, what the heck? How did this happen? It's partly because you were the persistent one. You were the last person standing, and nobody else, was, let's just say, persistent enough to
Right.
keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's always funny to me when someone says how lucky someone is, or, there's a lot of times there's a lot of things behind there that got them to that point. Um, and just like, doing this show where we do different things, and we've had successes, we've had some things not work out right, or whatever, the stream didn't work, and we had to figure it out and move real quick because we have certain goals of when we're going to put this out and so on. But we keep working on it and keep working on it. And again, we're looking at this as long term, that we're going to have successes, we're going to have failures, and then all of a sudden, whenever, a month from now, 6 months from now, when people are like, wow, man, they've got crazy following and this and that, they came out of nowhere. Well, it's like, we've been building this. Most people, they jump from things week to week. And if you can just build something and just keep making it better and just keep tweaking it and so on, if you build it, they will come, kind of thing, right? To quote another
Yeah.
movie. That's what we're doing here. And so we're trying to put our money where our mouth is, and say we're doing it here. We're being consistent, being focused, having failures and having successes, and it will come. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so we expect that failure, but not failure in terms of, you are a failure, you are a loser. Expect that things are going to happen, bad things, but those challenges, and you face those challenges, and you get past them, and makes you stronger, and so on. So just know that comes with the territory. And but it's and that's why I said, going back to the beginning here with my wife, I said, this was a wonderful thing that happened to you today. This person, the first, how, like, she just was, this was devastating to her that someone would be negative to what she had to do. And then by the
Right.
end, she's like, this was amazing. I had all this love and support. She had, I think, like 20 reviews all of a sudden today. People are like, she helped.
Wow.
She's great. She doesn't give me one word answers. She gets me my product on time. She, X, 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 X. And she realized, wow, there's all of this silent majority of people that really like what she's doing, but they're
Yep.
just not vocal about it. And then when she kind of gave her story, it resonated with people because it was heartfelt. And then they're like, basically, like, they were rallying behind her, like, don't let that get you down. And this is not, she had, like, it was the biggest video she ever had in her group, by like twofold. It was the
That's
best thing
awesome.
ever. She won her PayPal dispute. It was just like, it was like the best thing. That failure, that negativity that was getting her upset in the morning was like, made her super happy. And so, make lemonade out of lemons, and keep pushing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny what you said also, James, is that we're an example of this. We're doing this. We started September 1st. We're still doing it, right? We're going to keep doing it. And we're going forward in faith. We're really believing that this is going to be big, because I believe we're putting across really great content. We're putting across the kind of mindset issues, the strategies, everything that an entrepreneur needs to be successful. And so that audience will find us over time, and we're building it. And it's just like anything. The other day, they're building a Costco near our house, really close by our house. And I saw the foundation there, and I saw some of the beams going up and everything, and just hadn't really driven by there for a while. And all of a sudden, the store's there. It's built. It's completely done.
Where
And
did
I'm
it
just
come
like,
from?
yeah, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And that's a good metaphor for success in business. Is it takes time to build the foundation. While you're building the foundation, you're going to go through ups and downs. You can go through situations that maybe aren't really fun, but you just keep going after it and going after it and going after it, and it will happen for you. If for no other reason that everybody else quits and doesn't go after it. And there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, and we were really excited. The last presentation we did, last talk, was our biggest video. Why? We took a little leap of faith and we put it on 2 platforms, and all of a sudden we quadrupled our views. I'm not saying that was a failure, but that was something that we had to do and try, and we didn't get it exactly the way we wanted to, but we got it out there, and we had 4x the views. So that's something we're continuing to talk about and tweak, and it's happening already for us because we see it. Again,
Yep.
we're looking at it almost like engineers. Of course, our content is somewhat, I mean, it's experience, it's high level, it's tactical, it's all those things. But we're also looking at it like engineers. Okay, what happened here? Did people like this? Did they not like this? Is it what we want to do?
Exactly.
When all these different things, and I'm like, okay, this is working, this didn't work, what? And then we're making changes, and then all of a sudden those incremental changes, we have certain goals that we're looking at, and one of those goals is 1,000 views on one of our presentations. Well, our last one did about 250 views, so that's pretty good. We haven't really promoted this heavy at all, but to have 250 views, basically organically and from word of mouth, people started to share it. Our next goal is 500, and then we're going to hit that 1,000, and then
Yep.
we feel that we've hit one of our major milestones, and we will get there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'm going to finish it off there, James, because I don't think I could add to that. So
You're teasing me because I say that every
I really don't. I really don't think I could add to that. It's been a long day for me. so
cool.
I'm smelling dinner downstairs. But yeah, I think it's awesome to just be thinking about that. In how does this apply to your business? Let us know in the comments. How does this persistence? Have you had experience like this where your persistence has helped you all the way? Have you had an experience where having a go for it attitude helped you to be successful? Have you had experiences where maybe what looked like a failure or a drawback or a negative turned into a really big positive? We'd love to hear those stories from you in the comments as well. So I'm going to wrap it up tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe. And when you subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you're notified. We're here just about every weeknight at about the same time at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We're here to help you with your business. And as we start hearing more from you, by the way, in the comments and all that, we're going to be able to tailor make this content for you. So, hey, man, if you get a chance to put something in the comments, something you want to hear from us about, this is your chance to be on one of the early episodes of what we believe is going to be a monster hit in the YouTube world. So I look forward to seeing that, and want to thank you all for joining us tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Have a good night.
Have a good one.